Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to A Nice Place to Brew. I'm Jason.
And I'm George.
Polly will be joining us momentarily. This is a webcast, broadcast every Thursday about all things beer and beer making. Tonight, we're going to talk in depth about gluten-free beer, what you as home brewers need to know, and possibly some examples of gluten-free that you may find out there. But before we get into our topics tonight, we do our webcast here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, that's available on all the podcasting platforms. Check us out there. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com. Our social media links are Nice Place to Brew and A Nice Place to Brew. And go to our YouTube page under our channel, A Nice Place to Brew, for all of our past episodes. We've been doing weekly episodes for more than a year now, so there's plenty of material there, so check us out. Anyways, all that aside, happy Thursday. Hope everybody's having a great week, and I hope you're enjoying a cold beverage. George, we'll start with you. What are you enjoying tonight?
So today I have my saison that I made.
Okay, we're getting our first glimpse of it.
Getting the first glimpse of that, and I'll show you a better glimpse of that once I get my computer up and running here shortly. And then I also have, once Polly arrives, Route 66 Old School Brewing.
Oh, tonight's the night?
Yeah, it's question mark beer. So we'll see. What about yourself, sir?
All right. So I am enjoying a beer that was made here in the great city of Chicago. And I'm talking about a brewery that many people will be familiar with called Revolution.
Ah, Revolution, yes.
Which I believe still to be Chicago's largest independent craft brewery. I think is the moniker. I'll have to fact check that. I think I'm on the right track. But I am enjoying a beer tonight called Sun Crusher, which, being that it's well into the 80-degree mark here in the Chicagoland area, it is all of the summer heat right now. This is a fantastic beer for those very hot days. 5.3% ABV, juicy and refreshing with radiant citrus notes. It's perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. Very refreshing, very clean. All good things. Get a second window out here. Is that your other computer booting up?
Yeah, give me 1 second, though. I'll add it in once my computer's ready.
All right. Oh, man. I just got a strong kick of hops right on that sip.
Did you? So
Yeah.
Sun Crusher, is that like an IPA?
I don't think it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Maybe this is just a... I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
That second sip was a mouthful of hops too. So this may be an IPA, and I just never saw it that way. Anyway.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the saison?
You know, it's not bad. Okay, so I think I told you during my brew day that my boil off rate was... Oh, hang on. Let me switch over to my computer here.
Okay, audio came through. You're good.
Yep, I'm good? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Oh,
yeah, I think...
We're getting an echo.
Yeah, don't worry. It's gone. Yeah. I think I told you that my boil off rate was lower than expected when I did my saison. So the way I compensated for that, so I didn't have like 7 gallons of beer when I was done, was I added, because it was a 90-minute boil, I went to 120, so I added 30 minutes to the boil. So I think the consequence to that is I added a little bit of bitterness to it because the hops were in a little longer than they should be. So
that'll do it.
Yeah. So as a saison, it's got a little bit of extra bitterness that I'm hoping once I hit the second keg of it will have mellowed out a little bit. Okay. But other than that, it's pretty solid.
All right. I would like to take a second to raise a glass and say cheers to my good friend, actor Bill Bailey, otherwise known as ABB. What's up, brother? Hope you're having a great night. Actor Bill Bailey is a fantastic actor. He's been in so many projects here in the Chicagoland area, and honestly, all throughout Illinois and St. Louis. So,
Okay.
Bill, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I'm pretty sure Bill Bailey has an IMDb page. So check out his page for all of his work, and it is quite plentiful.
Ollie, it is coming your way right now, buddy. So, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I've got that question mark beer that I'm looking forward to trying.
Yeah.
As you guys well know, if I drink enough that I am, speaking in cursive by the time we're done, that means that I typically snore at night, which I do on the regular. But when I drink, it tends to be more. Okay. So I may end up in the guest room tonight. It's your fault.
Depending on the ABV of said can that you're going to open up.
Which I think Paulie said was like 7%. So, I mean,
that sounds about right.
This is not an insubstantial beer as far as like volume. So, yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Wow. Slow website.
I know.
So,
okay.
There he is.
So I definitely thought that the Bill Bailey in question here was the Bill Bailey from Black Books and stuff. And when you said he was an actor, I was about to be super impressed that Bill Bailey was tuning into our. Don't get me wrong. Still super impressed. I don't know who you are, but good on you, buddy. I definitely thought it was a different Bill Bailey at first.
Okay. Well, and actually, for those who know actor Bill Bailey, they will know that he's frequently brought up that there is a separation between the two. Yeah. That's why he says actor Bill Bailey, and the other is comedian Bill Bailey.
Yes.
So
yeah. Yes. And one of my favorite comedians and actors, comedian/actors out there too. Yeah. Yeah.
So Paulie, what is going on at the world famous Route 66 Old School Brewing this great day?
I had a brew day today. And I brewed a hazy beer.
A hazy, all right.
And yep. I did, and I'm really excited because I'm getting ready to use a brand new hop that just hit the market like 2 weeks ago. A new cryo hop, a hot cryo hop blend called Cryo Pop.
Okay.
Where it's 22% alpha acid. They really can't say what it is, but it works great for hazies. So I'm excited. I got a whiff of it the other day. I had to crack it open to get it what it smelled like. And Jason, you can try it. You see what it smells like Saturday when you come to the birthday party because I got a couple pounds sitting aside.
Nice.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it must have gone well if you're at Uncle Rick's place.
Yeah, started early.
Yeah.
Got done probably right at 4:00 and decided to head out.
Okay.
So
well, you missed it in the beginning. Go ahead.
I was going to say now I'm enjoying beer that I probably ever brewed so far in my time, and Jason can do that one.
Yeah.
It kind of stands up if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's kind of
so you missed it, or maybe you didn't, but I do have the question mark beer here, but I definitely wanted to talk about my saison first. So, but I am going to crack that open and we'll see what it is.
All right, perfect. It'll be pretty easy,
yeah.
I hope. If not, I judge you on knowing beer. How about that?
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So yeah. Oh man, how you guys been this
thinking over
week?
How good. Good. I mean, we've gone through 4 keg. We're on the 4th keg of this beer, and we only tapped it a week ago last Friday. So it'll be 2 weeks ago today went on tap, and we're already on 4 kegs.
Your honey mango, right?
Yeah. I'm brewing
Yeah.
it again next week. I was already told we have to keep it in stock at all times now.
Oh,
So-
okay.
I'm like, okay,
At least
Graham,
you
what the
know.
hell? Yeah, exactly. I've never
Yeah.
seen a beer that go that quickly down there. So I think everybody at the club last night liked it too during
Yeah.
the meeting.
For good
Oh yeah,
reason.
you guys
And-
had JBG last night. How'd that
we
go?
did. We did.
Yeah, it was great. We did it over at Nick and Ivy's place.
Okay.
So it was kind of fun. Got Chad the brewer stuck around to hang out with us all.
Yep.
He was
Chad was
happy
super
that he was
cool to
having
all of
guest
us.
DJs.
He took everybody around often separately to show his setup and what it all does. Yeah, he was super great.
So now seeing the professional brew in a bag system in person, what's your impression?
Honestly, it makes sense. I would not call it an easy system because it doesn't translate to really any other system out there.
Okay.
Is that a fair assessment, Paulie?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just like the Anvil system, but 100
Yeah.
times bigger. And
Okay.
I mean, the way I got a feeling that's what Anvil. I think all these. I don't know if they copied this or they or who manufactured that copy, like the Grainfather or whatever. But hey, it works, and Chad's making a decent product over there, so I can't knock it.
Yeah.
Can't knock the system.
Yeah, so for those of you tuning in who weren't listening to the show when we did the one with Chad, Nick and Ivy has a brew in a bag professional system that they have, professional sized mash tun. It's what, a 3-barrel system, if I remember correctly?
So yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think
So
it's-
it's like a 3-barrel system, but then they have a winch that pulls up this gigantic bag, if you will, and that drains in there. And so they do, just like you would do brew in a bag on a homebrew scale, they do it on a professional scale. So, yeah, it's impressive. And
It was actually
Jason
really
has
good.
some allergies going, apparently.
I might need a minute.
Okay.
So, man, yeah, we're looking forward. We got our second anniversary this weekend. It was kind of weird yesterday. I always go on my Facebook memory before I go to work, and yesterday was I checked in at that place before they even opened up. I was like, wow, who would have thought a year and a half later I would be working for them?
Well,
So-
but that's not really the date that matters. I mean, we got to celebrate the anniversary of Paulie starting as a professional brewer there. So that raises a question.
Very appropriate.
That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah.
Paulie, that raises a question. Do you mark that by the day that you started or your first official brew day at Route 66?
I would say the first day I started there, because the first day I started there granted, it wasn't. I was kind of a refresher. We cleaned a tank, and then
Okay.
we brewed all the days. So, I would say that's a good enough assumption. I was working there. I was on the clock, getting paid to do beer, doing cellar work. So
Yeah.
actually, I really don't even know the exact day I started. To be honest with you. Might have to look that up tomorrow, because I know the day of the job we brought Steve on brought him on the show.
That was the day you got the offer.
Yep.
No, that was the day I got the job. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll be fun. I'll have to
I remember
have
that show
Stephen
so
T.
well. For many
Yeah, so
reasons,
do I.
honestly. I mean, number one, it was such a momentous day for you, Paulie, graduating to the big times as a brewer. It was a great day for the webcast too. Being that we now have a pro brewer among our ranks, and third, that Steve and Tina were so quick to say yes, absolutely, we want to be on this, and they were great.
They were. Yeah. I mean, everybody we've had on, we haven't had anybody that I would not invite on again. So yeah, we've been doing pretty good. So, and honestly, most of that is down to Paulie. He's been our social director for quite some time now, and he's knocked it out of the park on that.
He really has. Yes. Cheers to you,
Oh,
Paulie.
all right. So I just opened said mystery beer, and it foamed up on my thumb because you filled it right to the brim. Good on you. And I definitely got a good hit of hops right away.
Yeah.
So,
So
Pour
pour
this
into a
in.
glass.
oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Gotta let that settle down for a second.
Uh-huh.
Calm down there, buddy.
Let's see what the nose tells me.
Which one is that?
Nose tells me it's got distinct hop character, but not overly so. So I'm picturing kind of like a hoppy pale ale kind of situation.
Mhm.
The color, again, kind of evokes kind of that pale ale. But, slightly darker than that, but nowhere near like an amber or anything. So I'm still going with like a pale ale.
Okay.
I'm getting a little bit of sweet in the character, in the taste of it, but also the presence of hops. Yeah, I think my original assessment is correct. Is this a Polly's truck?
No, you're close.
it's-
This
yeah,
is
it's
the road. This was a collaboration that I did at the on tour brewing with Dave, my buddy Dave,
Oh, this is your on tour collab.
and on tour up in the city.
It was made there at the Route 66 brewery, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Can you hold up that glass one more time? George? So that beer traveled well.
Yeah, it seems to have. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Nice head
That's
retention
great,
on that too. I like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Nope.
I said
that-
before, and it's worth saying again.
Oh,
that
did
is
you guys
the
get-
best Polly made IPA that I've had.
yeah. Do you Polly? Do you remember? Do you know? Because I imagine you don't have it in stock anymore. That tiny bit of sweetness that I'm getting. Do you know what that's about?
I'd have to look at the recipe. I mean, I brewed that. Oh, I brewed that probably 2 or 3 months ago, at least 2 months ago, and maybe 3 because it took 3 weeks to follow through. But I do know maybe I did use some liquid malt extract in there to bring up the ABV, so that might be where the sweetness comes from.
Sure.
Like I said, without having that, it's just kind of funny because I was sitting around at the meeting last night talking to Sean McTee, and we were talking, just talking shop about brewing and whatnot. And when I think Kyle Besser asked us, like he tried something, he's like, "Hey, what hops did you put in here?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'd have to look." And Sean's like, "Hey, remember the days when we were just lowly homebrewers? We knew exactly what hops were in each beer, how much of each one, when we added them. Now it's just like, I don't fucking know. Where's my book? Let me go look at the book and I'll figure it out." Like this hazy that I did today.
Yeah. To
Hazy
be
I
honest,
did-
I've never been. Have you ever been in that situation, Jason, where you're like, "Oh, I know exactly what I put in this beer"? Because and maybe it's because we've leaned on tools like Beersmith and brew journals and whatnot, since we started. But I always have to look up those kinds of things.
I am so glad this is coming up because this happens to me all the time, and I feel like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
Because none of this stuff is just right there for me to grab. I'm always having to consult something.
I'm taking it, and I guarantee I'm going to do this with the saison. We're talking about this now, and my brew club meeting is next week, and I guarantee I'm going to have to look up the recipe because I won't look beforehand.
Thank God we have the tools that we do. We've got
Right.
Beersmith. We have those brown beer logs, which I cannot imagine brewing in any environment without that right now.
Without a
Like,
beer
if you-
log? Yeah.
Yes. If you don't have a beer log of some kind, I don't know how you're getting through.
We've talked a lot about how to go from good to great and how to make your beer better. If you're looking for consistency, if you're looking for repeatability, a brew journal is one of the best things you can invest in.
That is excellent advice.
Yeah.
I agree solely. And I still have my old journal from back before there was even software or anything. And I'm so glad I have that because I go through there at least once a week, and I look back at recipes. Like prime example, this week we were talking about the next month's brew days and everything, and they're like, "Hey, we want to do a wheat ale. Do you have a wheat ale recipe?" I'm like, "As a matter of fact, I do. Let me pull out my book," and there it is.
Yeah.
Well, I had to change it a little bit. He said, "Don't make it hoppy," and I was like, "Damn it." So
We
I had to
have. Oh, I was going to say, if you haven't already brewed that, Jason and I made a really nice wheat ale back in the day that we have a recipe for that was not hoppy, had
Mhm.
really nice wheat character to it. It was the one that we tried desperately and largely in vain to infuse various fruit flavors into.
There's a couple of different versions of that.
There was what did we call that? We called that
Jeez.
what did we call our wheat ale?
Was it make like a tree and wheat?
Yes, make
That
like
was
a
one of
tree
them.
and
Okay.
wheat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Make
that's
like a
what we call it.
tweet, huh?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
So that may be only one version of it, because to George's point, we did some fruit variants of that. There was one where I think it was the wheat that we did the pomegranate infusion.
That was make like a tree and wheat. Yeah,
Okay. We did an apple beer. No, that was an amber
that
ale.
was an amber ale. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was Clock Tower beer, the Clock Tower amber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But our wheat ale was white wheat, pale ale, and Cara 8. And we used Tettnang and Cascade as our hops in that. And I remember that being quite good.
It was.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make about that beer.
Mm-hmm.
So that beer introduced me to the very common beer term that many, or if not all of us, are familiar with, and that's Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah.
So we brewed that beer, we carbonated it, we served it before I ever knew that
Okay.
Hefeweizen was a term of any kind. As a matter of fact, we were at a JBG meeting presenting this beer to, of all people, Dan Camp from Metal Monkey, who drops the term Hefeweizen. George, of course, knows what's going on. And I'm like, Hefeweizen. Fuck, what's going on? And I said nothing. And afterwards, of course, I got smart and blind. Okay, that's what that is.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's happened to us all. Is we hear these beer terms like I think we all remember the first time we heard the term Vorloff, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, that I'm sure that's something, but what the hell? And yeah.
Wow, that was
Well,
That
I
takes
guess
me
for me
back.
was the term Zwickle.
Zwickel.
That was
Yeah.
Yeah,
last
you know-
week.
Oh, you just found out what Zwickle was last week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, it was always a tasting port.
Okay. Well,
I got some hat.
that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right. You guys hold on the fort. I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay,
So when Paulie comes back, I do want to ask for more words like that. Like I know in that brain of his, he's got other terms chambered that we just have not come across yet.
I am sure.
Yeah.
In the meantime, do you want to hit on some of the research you did into gluten-free beers?
So we can.
Okay.
So maybe we'll close off the show then with other beer terms, because I think we're going to be on this topic for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just make a note, just so I don't forget that. So before we get into our topic of gluten-free beer tonight, I want to acknowledge my source. And we have talked about the American Homebrewers Association to the point of exhaustion here on the show.
Yeah.
I will continue to tout their services for the homebrew community. The Homebrewers Association publishes a bi-monthly magazine called Zymurgy, which has been a tremendous resource for me and countless other homebrewers out there. Well, Zymurgy, an issue from 2019, had a very, very in-depth article about gluten-free beer and beer making, which I will cite in our discussion here tonight.
Okay, good.
George, what about you? Where did you get yours?
Just basically looking around at different places, the American Homebrewers Association, looking at different recipes, as well as talking to a couple different people. There's actually a gluten-free brewery out in the Midwest near you guys that I got some information from. So that's kind of just. I didn't really go into the articles, which is a little unusual for me, but yeah, I got some information that way.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's dive in. And let me just pose a basic question. And I think, George, you can give the best definition for this.
Mm-hmm.
What is gluten?
So
and I asked that because the term gluten-free is coined a lot.
It is.
There's a lot less explanations of what that means and what, gluten truly pertains to.
Okay, so let's start here. Gluten-free is important because there's a lot of people that, through the course of evolution, have become allergic to gluten. And it's called celiac disease. And there are other people that have become gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant to the point where it really messed with their digestion if they have it. So gluten is that if you've ever had a dough, like a bread dough, and you pull it apart and it becomes kind of stringy and it binds it together, and you pull it apart and it kind of comes apart in sheets, but stringy sheets. The gluten is what does that. It's that binding agent that causes that's present in wheat and grain that causes everything to kind of bind together, and that is what reacts with a lot of people. So a lot of people, a lot of people tend to go more towards a gluten-free diet or a low-gluten diet, where they will use different types of flours and different types of malts in making things like bread and beer and basically anything else you would use a standard grain for. And they can reduce or eliminate the gluten in their in their foods. Now they will substitute other binding agents like xanthan gum and other things like that in there in order to be able to do that. Now in beer, we don't actually need binding agents in our beer. There's nothing to bind together. So we can substitute other things in our recipes and not really see a whole lot of detriment. However, there is a slightly different process and is slightly more difficult to brew with gluten-free ingredients than it is standard ingredients.
Let's remember that the basic elements of beer making, which of course are malt, grain, just your common, fermentables that's made, those gluten agents are a very basic part of those. Mm-hmm. And your description of the binding agents is right on, but that's a piece of it. You can't separate, normal grain from, those gluten pieces.
Right. Yeah,
which
it's
makes
part of the
gluten. So the takeaway is making beer without gluten is tricky because you have to take malt out entirely.
Well, you have to take
at least
kinds of malt.
Yeah, which that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
The main go-tos that any regular brewery would go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your wheat, your standard 2-row, your pale malt, all that stuff, you got to chuck it in the bin if you're going to make a gluten-free beer.
Right. Exactly.
So,
So what are those said malts that do not have gluten that you can substitute? Well, buckwheat is one example. Rice. Let me consult my article here.
Buckwheat.
Buckwheat. Yeah, he said that. Yeah,
buckwheat. Yeah.
Actually, me and Jason, we're gonna be doing an experimental buckwheat beer here. In the next couple weeks. Yeah, it's gonna be and we're doing like a little mini collaboration with Mr. Brian Galbraith from Impossible Meads. So he's been wanting to play with this for a while. So I figured, screw it. I don't want to do like 1 barrel batch of it. We're like, okay, let's just do 5 gallons of it. And it'd be easier instead of me digging out my brew system in my garage or going to Brew and Grow. We could just go hang out with Jason and drink some beers and
there you go.
Mess up his garage for a day, and then we can let him clean up and go leave.
So you said buckwheat and rice. You're missing one. Do you remember what that is?
Millet.
Millet. That's the big one.
Yep.
Sorghum.
Oh, and sorghum. Yes. Now sorghum tends to be a more of a analog to like DME or LME. Right. It doesn't tend to be in the mash. It tends to be a boil edition, if you will.
You can buy it, and you can buy it in grain form.
You can, but it tends to be used a little bit more post mash.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then one thing you do in a gluten-free beer, you have to use dry stuff. You can't use any of the like Y yeast or the omega stuff that has the slurry mixed in with it, because that slurry's got a little bit of gluten in it too.
Yep.
So
I did learn that dry yeast is gluten-free.
Dry yeast is gluten-free, yes, and it has to do with the nutrients they put in that slurry to keep that wet yeast going.
Got it. Okay. All right.
So there's a little bit more too than just substitute standard ingredients for the other ingredients. Do you have anything on that, Jason?
Yeah, the entire brewing process is different, and I want to talk about that in details. Let's talk about the other elements, though.
Okay.
Because I think we touched on it with the syrup, but there is a lot of examples of these gluten-free beers that involve a lot of extract, which makes very logical sense, because if you need to take out malt entirely for your brewing process, extract is really the quickest way to get those sugars that you need to make work.
It is, yes. And because the mash process is slightly more challenging with the gluten-free ingredients, a lot, especially on the homebrew scale, a lot of people will just go straight to the syrups because that has already been completed for them. It's already been mashed out and reduced down to a concentrate for them.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So, citing the Zimmergy article from 2019 that I'm talking about, this went a long way to kind of give color to what gluten-free brewing means, to everybody. They have 3 different recipes in this, and they're all ranging in their complexity. There's beginner, intermediate, and really advanced. And back to my point about syrups, the first recipe is entirely extract. There's no malts, there's no buckwheat, there's no rice, there's no millet, none of that. You're just going straight, with the extracts, mixing the water, doing your boil, hop additions. Your brew day is pretty straightforward at that point. Let's just go right into it. The next recipe, the intermediate, is a mix of both. There is a long list of millet malt additions as well as extract. And the mash schedule looks like this. Without mentioning the malts themselves, just follow along with this. Reverse step mash, 30 minutes at 185 degrees with 20 milliliters of Thermomil for gelatinization. Then rest for 60 to 90 minutes at 155 degrees Fahrenheit with 20 milliliters Sabamil L for saccharification. Recirculate until wort is clear and passes an iodine starch test.
You said
Sparge
Sabamil.
boil.
Sorry, you said Sabamil L?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. Sparge boil.
Sparge, boil 60 minutes, cool to 65 minutes Fahrenheit, transfer and ferment at 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right,
let's
so
add
it's
up the
pretty
times here.
good.
Okay, 30 minutes for your first mash step, then rest for 60 to 90 minutes. So you're already from between 90 and 120 minutes total. And then you recirculate and then sparge.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a good 3 to 4 hours tied up just in your mashing and sparging.
Yes, there are ways to fix that, though. And this may be because gluten-free brewing is a relatively new thing. Because the whole gluten-free thing, if you think about it, is kind of a new millennium thing, and has come a long way. So there are ways to shortcut that don't involve those different temperature changes, because basically the problem that you have is a standard brew temperature, a standard saccharification rest won't break down those things in a way that you need them to in order to make it in order to extract the sugars that you need. You can't break down those complex chains enough into simple sugars to be able to make them work. So if we remember the flash in the pan style that was out there for a while, I made one back in the day called a Brute IPA.
Yes.
You remember that? Okay.
Horrible beer.
I love them, to be honest.
I ranked that up there with a milkshake.
Wow, that's harsh. Okay. But I will say, so one of the things that beer style introduced to a lot of homebrewers is the idea of using glucoamylase in your beer in order to break down any residual complex sugars into simple sugars in your wort. And you can use that same kind of amylase enzyme in your mash in order to break those down like you would for a Brute IPA with gluten-free. And then you can get a little bit closer, not entirely, but a little bit closer to a standard saccharification rest, because those amylase enzymes can help to break those things down and not have to worry about those different temperatures that Jason is talking about to achieve the same effect.
So that's really a shortcut in this whole thing.
A little bit.
Is using just expanding the usage of that glucoamylase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well,
and the good news,
that's a great tip.
A little bottle of that goes a long way. So it's not bad.
So one other takeaway from using glucoamylase as a brewing addition is it's going to expand how much fermentable sugars that you have. So your final gravity is going to be lower. What does that mean? Expect a drier beer. George?
Yes.
Your saison is a little bit dry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I didn't use amylase in it, but I do. Right. It is really dry. So
to answer Sean's question, what happened with the cinnamon saison? It's dry.
It's Sean. It is the first beer that I've had that is either at or sub 1.0 in final gravity. And while the cinnamon didn't come through quite as much as I would hope, I do get a little bit of taste of that. Unfortunately, I do have a little bit of extra hop bitterness because I did have to extend the boil because of
The boil off.
my boil off rate was a problem. So I'm hoping that as it ages a little bit more, the extra bitterness that came through will mellow out, and the cinnamon will be able to come through a little bit more. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I can tell that I was knocking off the rust from about 6 months of not brewing. But yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
What cinnamon did you use?
It
And when?
was. I used cinnamon sticks at Flame Out, basically during the whirlpool.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
we just mentioned a tip about gluten-free brewing.
Mhm.
Would you like to hear the ultra advanced, ultra complicated?
Oh,
Gluten-free
absolutely.
beer
Do it,
technique?
man. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Just before I get into that, the style of beer that this intermediate recipe that I just read off is an American amber ale.
Okay.
So 5-6% ABV, malt, your fairly standard hop additions. It's a good base recipe, for brewing of many styles, and gluten-free can be a good example in this case. All right, what is a beer that's more complicated? How about a Scotch ale?
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
does sound like it'd be more
Very
complicated.
High ABV, you're going to have to get sugars from somewhere. So this here is a beast. So Scotch ale recipe calls for bringing an original gravity up to 1091, down to a final of 1028. So you're not going to be able to use your glucoamylase on this one because it's going to take away too much of those sugars. But first and foremost, you got to get those sugars just to begin.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do this? All right. You ready?
Yep.
Brewing notes: use a decantation mash for a dry beer. Conduct a beta gluten rest at 104 degrees. Raise to 150 degrees for 45 minutes. Save clear enzyme-rich wort after the grist settles. Heat cereal to 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes to gelatinize. Don't scorch it. Recombine to 150 degrees Fahrenheit and add beta amylase and rice hulls. Hold 1 hour, lauter, and sparge. Collect 6 gallons of wort.
Good God. All right. So not only are you talking about a beta rest, which we never do. Like, nobody ever does that. And it's because our regular grains are so well modified that you just do not need to.
Right.
And so not only is it that, but you then take that recipe and you take it up to a regular saccharification rest, and then you said the cereal, but that means basically taking the grains out, right? And taking that up to 200 degrees.
The way I'm reading that is you're supposed to take away as much liquid as you can,
right?
Just leaving just kind of a wet mix behind, and that's what you bring up to 200 degrees.
Right. It reminds me of our decoction mashing day.
A lot of parallels with the decoction. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's to really just bring that up to temperature and really just break down those grains even more. There's a lot of effort into that.
Oh my God, a ton.
Wow.
You're talking about a 9 to 10 hour brew day for 5 gallons, I guarantee.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do that for 5 gallons.
I agree.
Yeah, if I'm going to do a 5 gallon recipe, I'm going to do one like I talked about, which, by the way, I looked at the final gravity because the recipe I was talking about was a stout.
Okay.
Yeah, so you use your amylase in that, amylase enzyme in the mash. Now, you only use 1 teaspoon, so very tiny amount. Like I said, amylase goes a long way when you're using it. And this is a 5-gallon recipe for and just use 1 teaspoon. The final gravity projection is 1014. So
Okay.
it's not so even that's just a testament to how hard it is to break down these sugars.
Mhm.
That even using amylase, you still get a 1014 on that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
who wants to start gluten-free brewing?
well, I mean, on that note, there are gluten-free breweries out there. There's a
According
bunch
to
of
this article, there's 12 across the United States.
There's more now.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Not surprising.
Yep. There's actually one in Madison, and I'm not remembering.
Wisconsin?
Yep.
Okay.
Hang on. I don't remember the name of it.
Now, check that out when I go to Madison in August for the Great Taste of
Yeah. Yeah, let me see if I can remember the name of that. Alt Brew.
Oh, Alt Brew.
In Madison.
Oh,
Alt Brew
okay. Yeah, I've
in
heard
Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah. And also, while it's not a dedicated gluten-free brewery, there is a what they call gluten-friendly brewery in your area called Great Lakes.
Great Lakes is considered gluten-friendly?
Gluten-friendly. They have some
Interesting.
beers that are
Okay.
made gluten-free. They are made in the same equipment as as some of the other beers, so it can't be completely gluten-free. But they do. Great Lakes does make a bunch of gluten-free or gluten-friendly beers.
And
Let's see if I
actually,
can share a screen
there's a
here.
little hack for
Can you guys
for
see?
gluten too. There we go. Oh, okay.
Yep.
There's a map.
All
So look at this pocket of gluten-free breweries in the Pacific Northwest.
That's not surprising. Is that surprising?
No,
I mean,
no, definitely not.
I mean, there is a little bit of a stigma, if you will, to gluten-free because it has become a hipster thing.
True.
And so that's not surprising.
stupid hipsters. They're worse than hippies.
All right,
But
Paulie said it. My hands are clean.
Polly, aren't they hippies kids?
Yeah, I know, right? I would call them hippies kids, Rick.
there are a number of breweries that, while they're not, it's becoming more popular. Much like there are a number of breweries that will brew, like a root beer or a soda for a non-alcoholic drinker. There are some that will brew one or two that are gluten-free beers. Again, on the same equipment, so celiac people take that into account. But
Right.
but for everybody else, they're basically gluten free, and they'll have a few on tap that are gluten free or gluten friendly for people.
On a similar note, there is the article does talk about gluten free versus gluten reduced.
That's kind of gluten friendly. That's kind of yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then White Labs makes something. Oh, I want to say it's Berm Cap. I'm thinking that's wrong. Where they make like a little thing where actually one of my mug clubbers down at the brewery, she's intolerant. Jason knows her, Sarah Beasley, the one that we did when you did your one off with.
Yeah,
she carries this stuff in her purse with her. Puts like 2 drops in her beer and watches all the gluten drop out to the bottom. You just don't drink the bottom part of it.
That's Firm Cat. Yeah.
I did not know that was out there for beer drinkers.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna text her and see if she knows what the name of the product is.
Wow.
I know it's done by I know White Labs does it. I just can't think of the name. I want to say it's Firm Cap, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure
the bottom of your glass, just like yeast would fall out.
Yeah, it's like a yeast cake, or you see all the hops are.
It's definitely not something I would recommend for a celiac, but for someone that's just a little gluten intolerant, Yes, and I think you're right, Polly. I think it is firm cap, and it would definitely help.
Yeah, I want to say that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they and little, like I said, she carries it around in her purse with her at all times. So if we
yeah,
go
in fact,
out-
I have it right here.
yeah.
Really?
Oh, you got
Yeah.
stuff for BSG though.
Ah.
So.
Yeah, it's
Who-
firm cap though.
Oh, okay.
I need a
Who
beer.
Who you getting
Okay.
that from? It's labeled from BSG. Is that from More Beer?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
did you see? Speaking of BSG, did you see the stickers I sent you today in the group text amongst us?
No, I saw they came in, but I have been so busy today.
Oh, but that's for the price table. Each one of those stickers, there's a stack of them. I mean, at least like 10 per sticker.
Okay.
You know, and then they all have the Beer Supply Group logo right on it.
Okay.
It's actually pretty cool. I saw they had a Grateful Dead one. I told my owners like, yeah, this stack isn't making the table. A stack's going in my drawer. Oh.
I think they have to accept that, knowing
Oh,
who
yeah.
you are. Yeah.
And I did the legwork to get all these gifts for you guys too. So
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
oh
So,
yeah. Well, it's funny because whenever something comes in, I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna make the prize table. This ain't gonna make the prize. I've got at least three items that were like that. Although my rep from Country Malt, she sent me some stuff and it was funny. She's like, okay, what size t-shirts do you like or do you need? I'm like, well, I wear a 2X. I wear a regular X for somebody else, regular extra large for somebody else. And so she was like, send me pictures of what shirts they had. I got to choose what shirt I wanted and which they got. I think I got, what's it count to? I think I got like 14 or 15 hats now between
okay.
Country Mall, BSG, Anvil, Omega. I think.
So, speaking of Omega, Sean said makes a couple gluten-free yeast. I would assume White Labs and White Yeast does. I think they do as well. They use a GF Kvake for their seltzers and things.
Oh,
And
interesting.
and he said Lutra is the name of it. And I will admit, when I saw that, I immediately thought of this is a Lutra. it's
Is that what
it's related to, it's related to a weasel or an otter, and I was like, no, that can't be right.
Have you seen the logo for the Lucha? That thing's on a river, it's like a river rat float with a beer floating down a river tube.
So that just made me funny. Anyway, one of the things that and whatever you made here, Polly, is starting to hit me. If you guys can't tell,
No,
but
carry on.
Okay, carrying on.
You're fine.
The other thing I wanted to mention about the gluten-free beers is much like sake is naturally mostly gluten-free, depending on the yeast they use, because it's a rice wine.
Rice wine, yeah.
A lot of Japanese and Chinese beers are also mostly gluten-free because their base is rice and not grains. So they will use some grains in there. So you will have a little bit of gluten, but it will be much less than a traditional American or European beer.
It is an interesting fact about Japan. Because Japan is an island nation, it's much less suited for grain growth than it is in other mainland countries like the United States, like Europe, many other places. So their options are just more limited than what we have here. And rice, is a go-to alternative.
It's a staple out there, and honestly, I'm actually a big fan of Kirin and Sapporo. So I've considered making a clone of that.
Have you looked at those recipes? What they look like?
They're a little bit more challenging because there is a lot of kind of gummy texture to it.
Okay.
But that's not insurmountable, and definitely something that I've been considering trying.
So I heard back from my gluten-free friend. It's Clarity Firm, not Clarity. It's what it's called. It's Clarity Firm.
Okay,
FRE.
Clarity Firm.
That's the stuff that reduces the gluten in the beer.
Okay.
Clarity
I
Firm.
just-
Okay, here it is.
She
Found
just
it.
responded to me, so
Yeah.
It sounds
White
like
Labs. Okay. Yeah.
Is that a gelatin kind of thing?
no, it's liquid. It's a liquid.
Yeah.
No. Well, okay.
Jason's reading up on it. I can tell. Look at him.
Yeah, I can tell he is too.
Yeah.
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 So I'm looking for the actual package, but what I'm seeing looks like cardboard. So look somewhere else. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, and it's not horribly expensive. Okay. Wow.
Like
take a
$6
look.
a drop a vial. You only like
Not
2
even.
drops. All right, really? From White
Not
Lab?
even. Check it out. $4.20 will get you.
Whoa! Okay, I'm into that.
Okay, and that's a single dose for. I'm pretty sure that has like a gelatin base because that is meant as a clarifying agent for, like so you could dump that in 5 gallons of beer in your fermenter to drop
Right.
out whatever it is. So, yeah.
So yeah, that's the stuff you know for all you people that are gluten sensitive. You can carry that around in your pocket, and it can help you out with your gluten problems.
So I'm going to come off like a total nerd here, but right as soon as we sign off, I'm going to go to YouTube, find a video. I want to see this dropout happen.
Okay. Yeah.
I
fair.
I don't think I could share that and have it hold up here on the webcast. But yeah, I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, and gluten-free beer has been a bit of a curiosity for me that I've been wanting to make one. I don't think I would do it on the regular, but I think I will try it at some point and see how it turns out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you have your choice about how, well, not only your recipe, but how complicated do you want to make it?
Oh, I will definitely go with an all grain, but leaning on amylase to help the process along.
Okay.
I think that's a little bit more intermediate to what we've been talking about. But definitely, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Paulie,
Yo,
will there be gluten-free brewing at Route 66 Old School Brewing?
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how this buckwheat beer turns out. I mean, we're
Yeah,
brewing
sure.
for the brewery, so
Yeah. Tell me, because I know we talked briefly about it last night, but where did the appeal come from?
whether I want to do this, as actually Brian wants to do it,
Okay.
and he figured he wanted to do it at the brewery, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna, because I'm not. The minimum that we could brew would be 20 gallons, so it'd be one barrel.
Yeah.
And it would just wouldn't make sense to with our big with our big, not as big as some breweries, but our vessels to do 30 gallons. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Although it make brew day real fucking quick, real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
we could probably do it all in one turn of the HLT too. So here's something. Well, we can discuss this. I'm gonna do a little bit more research. Have you guys ever heard of a CLT? A cold liquor tank?
Yes, but I don't remember why.
Okay.
Well, because the reason why reason why I'm talking about it is right now I'm having a hell of a time not doing knockout because our groundwater is so warm. Like I have to slow it down to almost a trickle to get it to go in the fermenter at pitching rate, unless I just start using Kaviki all summer long, because then I can let it rip and it comes out at like 94 degrees, which I'm happy with,
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, it's something I gotta. Kevin
Oh.
promised, our president was talking about. I guess Mad Hatchet does it, so maybe in the next few days I'm gonna have to go over there and look at this thing and figure out how it works because I'm really curious about this now.
Is it just a lot of ice?
No, it's like no, you actually run glycol through a chiller.
Okay.
That makes
So
more
you're
sense.
actually, it's not a cold, it's like a chilling, like you actually chill it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
It's almost like a pre-chiller, like you do with on the home,
Like a
side.
jockey box kind of thing.
Jockey box, or when you put your immersion chiller, drop it in a bucket of ice before you start going into your counterflow chiller,
Right.
something like that. So yeah, I mean, I gotta think about what I gotta do because it's only June, and I don't know how it is down there in Virginia, but it's fucking hot up here already.
It
I can't-
really is hot.
I can't wait for the fucking winter already. I'm dreading the summer. I mean,
Oh,
I don't miss working outside anymore. I'll tell you that. I don't miss it.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not looking forward to winter, but yeah, it's warm here. It's mid 80s here already.
Yeah. I just
So,
walked
hey.
out of the garage to get a beer and I just about melted.
I thought about this and I was like, all right, where can I get millet? Because I've looked on More Beer before and I just checked today and it's not there. But there is a place that is out there called Gluten Free Home Brewing.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
And they actually
really?
sell a pretty wide range of different types of
I'll be damned.
millet, mostly millet, and rice malt, which is pretty common. But they sell it in 1, 2, and 5 pound, and you can get it in bulk sizes as well. So if anybody's looking for gluten-free malts to be able to make their beer, that's a good place to go. It's glutenfreehomebrewing.com.
All
Let's look
right.
into that. Check out it. They got buckwheat in there because I was actually
Yeah.
this morning during brew
That's
day.
a good
I was I have a recipe. I got a recipe, Jason. Tomorrow or Saturday when you come down to the birthday party, I'll pull up the recipe, have you take a look at it. It wants us to malt our own grain too, so we can have some fun malting some grain.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, that was quickly cited in a lot of the articles. Is a lot of these alternative malts are not like, malting is not part of the standard process before it goes to market. So
Yeah,
So, yeah.
well, with what they were talking about, I think that is. Oh, you know what? They do have buckwheat malt. They have organic pale buckwheat in 5-pound bags.
organic pale buckwheat. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of hippie bullshit?
Yeah,
are we
let's get that.
It's some hippie bullshit.
I don't
yeah.
mean to point fingers, but that's some real hipster shit right there.
It's sold in 5-pound unmilled bags. So you got to mill it.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, I'll be right back. Gotta use the restroom again.
Okay.
All right, sir.
I am looking forward to doing this.
Yeah.
Because I think I will learn a lot in the process.
And to be honest, something like glutenfreehomebrewing.com, I don't think existed too long ago. So it's made it a lot more accessible for people like us and, your average home brewer to be able to do this. So good on them.
True.
Yeah.
I'm going to highlight Sean's comment here. We have a CLT with a glycol tube running through it. We chill it to 40 degrees. Once it goes through the chiller, we send it to the HLT for the next brew.
What? So wait, you send it through in CLT to send it to the HLT to be heated up for the next brew?
So if I'm understanding this correctly, the purpose of this is you get your water cold enough that you can push it through your plate chiller and cool the beer appropriately.
And then cool the beer, and then the discharge from that then goes into the HLT. Because that would make sense.
Okay.
Goes through the
Sean?
CLT, through the plate chiller, and then the discharge from the plate chiller goes to the HLT.
That would make sense. Sean, are we on the right track? I'm going to be really sad if the answer is no.
If the answer is no, I have no idea what he's doing. So
CLT
Okay.
through the plate chiller back to the HLT.
Okay, good.
We got
so
it.
we're on the right path.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Yeah.
That does pose an interesting problem, though, because I do know the groundwater that Paulie is using for his brewing. And, of course, you're dependent on the temperature of that water so that you can cool it down with the plate chiller. So if your groundwater is too hot, that is a problem.
It is.
I get that.
And I've considered doing something like that because I'm on a well, and my well water is typically about 60 degrees, so it's good for chilling. But I've considered running through a jockey box with ice with an immersion chiller to be able to cool it a little bit more, to be able to cold crash a little bit faster. So yeah.
Cool.
So one note on gluten-free brewing. If you're using dry yeast, most of the time, any dry yeast, like safe ale dry yeast, like USO5, USO4, and the other ones like that, you're good to go. Hops do not factor into any kind of gluten at all. They're purely plant-based.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You do not have to worry about what hops you're using at all. The only thing you have to worry about is your yeast and your grains, your water and your hops. You're good to go.
It's just
I'm excited.
plant.
I'm excited to
That's
try
all.
this.
I am
Yeah.
too.
So what day did we say? What day did we say again,
I
Jason?
don't believe we
forgot.
locked in a date.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk more about. We'll talk more
it on
about.
Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. You should.
Speaking of
figure out
that,
a
what
way
is going
maybe-
on Saturday, Paulie? Something significant?
Oh, yeah, we have our second anniversary, second beer day.
Second
however the
beer
hell.
day for the world
Yeah.
famous Route 66 Old School Brewing in Wilmington, Illinois.
It'll be fun. You should make it a point to go visit Brian too while you're out down this way with Candy, so she can see the cute little place that Brian has.
It could happen. Yeah.
It should happen. And if
You're
you,
right. You're right. It should.
I mean, I even got a little something special for us to try too. His love
nice.
apple. I think I got his love apple. He gave me a bottle of it. Was it yesterday when I saw him? Yeah, I saw him yesterday. Because he dropped off a whole 5-gallon bucket of mango juice for us. I'm excited. I can't believe it's been two weeks out and I'm already brewing this beer again. And we're doing a double turn of it. It's a little exciting. I haven't been this proud of something in a long time. So
Yeah. Well, for good reason. That beer is awesome.
I had so much fun just seeing everybody's reaction to trying it, because I know, Jason, you don't like sour beers, and I just the look on your face when you're like, oh my god, it was like that one scene in the Simpsons movie where Ned Flanders makes Bart the hot chocolate and he runs off to the side. It was like that. That's what I felt like when I saw Jason take that first sip of that beer last night.
Okay, fair enough. And I know that feeling because I've had that same feeling when it came to I hate traditional West Coast IPAs. They're hot bombs. They're terrible. No one should like them. But as IPAs have developed, they've become much more subtle and nuanced and flavorful. And I've had that same feeling with trying a developed, nuanced IPA and being like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, that works. But, just throwing a bunch of hops at something doesn't work. And I feel like the same has happened over the years with sours, is that originally they were just tart bombs. And now people have found ways to create nuance with them and really pull out the flavor that has made them very appealing.
That's a great call out. You're absolutely right, because I do remember the early days when they were tart bombs, and I
Mhm.
think Paulie's beer is a great example of the evolution of that.
Yeah. I mean, hell, there was a berry sour we had over in Iceland that Hannah just loved. She's like, if I'm going to drink beer, it's going to be that one.
Oh
And,
wow!
and
Okay.
it's because it had some tartness to it, but it brought out the tartness, brought out the fruitiness in the beer, and really complemented it so well. And that is where craft brewing is going, is more into nuance, is more into how can we pull out these flavors like a good chef can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely it's an exciting time to be in the beer world right now. So
I believe it.
that being said, because tomorrow is my day that I register for the very first inaugural time of Route 66 and entered into the Great American Beer Festival competition. I'm definitely going to enter that mango beer, but what category should it go in? Should it be a fruited sour? They don't have an experimental sour. That's the one that I was going to put under like experimental beer, but they really don't have an experimental beer. It's like experimental IPAs, no experimental sours. One buddy said, Brian, who I did the beer, he said maybe I should put in the Braga category. What are your guys?
Braga?
Yeah, because it's.
Ooh.
I put 25 pounds of honey in.
Is there a BJCP sour category yet?
Oh, there's a couple.
Okay.
They have I think it's sour, fruited sour. I'd have to look. I don't have the guidelines in front of me. I'd have to look at the styles. I mean, it's on my work computer. I keep my work computer and my personal internet access separate on purpose, because if I had it on my phone, I would never leave work. I feel like I never leave there anyway. Wait a minute.
I get that.
Yes, my phone completely understands what you're saying.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. But yeah, it was fun. And say this one more time. All right, people, we got like 5 more spots for the homebrew competition. You got a couple weeks to join.
There you go. Yes, judging is on July 11th. You will be competing with me.
So, you know the competition is rigged, but at least you can get second place.
All right. Hey, thanks, Sean. Honey beer. I was kind of leaning towards honey beer too. And you know what? Piss off with your old comment about me and my hatred for milkshakes. I've tried. I really can't fucking try. I can't fucking handle them. And I love you too. And nor I wasn't sleeping. So I'm caught up on giving Sean shit.
You just got caught up on the chat right now.
Yeah, he did. Okay, so Jason, you took a note before we went into gluten-free beers, and I'm glad you did, because I completely forgot what you wrote down.
Yes, I'm glad I did too. Okay, so Paulie, you were nice enough to teach George and I a term last week when you talked about the Zweikel, which is where the sample beer is dispensed from a fermenter. Can you throw some more wisdom our way? What's another rarely used term that people outside of very skilled brewers such as yourself know?
Do you know what a ZOM is? Well, you guys should know. I told you all about this last week.
ZOM?
The ZOM is that device that you connect to the Zwickel, right?
Oh, that's what that thing is. Okay.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zwickel.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so to be fair, I'm pretty sure somebody just made that up because it sounded funny. Like, we're going to connect the ZOM to the Zwickel to figure out what
we can't think of any other name for it. I agree.
Yeah.
No. Zwickel is an old German term, just like Warlock. You know?
Okay. Zwickel might be an old German term, but ZOM?
No, ZOM, that's an American term. I think that's the last name of the people that made this fucking tool. The only country that this expensive ass tool, but once you start doing this for a living, you gotta You got to worry about your carbonation levels. I can't live without it now. Now that I've learned how to use it, I can't live without it. I love the fact that I never have to guess anything again. Now my next hurdle is just keg it all right. Don't get a flat beer or infected beer or anything like that.
Do you or Sean, you're a professional brewer. Do you have any crazy terms that you encounter that the average home brewer you think maybe has not encountered?
Yes.
And yes, Sean, let's put our heads together, figure out a different thing. Well, I know the reason why a lot of brewers don't want to buy that thing. They don't want to spend $1,700 on a tool.
That price tag is
that's
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's Wickel. Wickel is a. Can you believe that?
Somebody in Germany is getting real rich off this thing.
Yeah. I mean, and let me think. What are some other terms? Well, it's kind of funny because I learned about Vorloff when I started brewing. And the only reason I learned that was from our friend, Mr. Brian Shimkos. You want to talk about a teacher who's probably one of the best teachers you could have on learning how to make beer,
Yeah.
Just the process of checking it takes 15 minutes. To check a ZOM, to check your carbonation level takes 15 minutes. There has to be a better way.
What the hell?
If I have a goddamn digital airlock that reports to me over the internet what my current ABV and gravity levels are,
but you have to wait 15
has
minutes
to be a
for
better way.
I'm with you. Something's very wrong there. And some dude's making $1,700 a unit from this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you saw how big it is, a little motherfucker.
Yeah,
It's huge.
It's kind of
no, it's smaller than my microphone.
I know.
And all it's really doing is figuring out what the pressure and temperature is, and from there it gives you a chart to tell you what the carbonation.
Yeah.
That's not complicated.
All right, listen, okay, these are very logical thoughts. Between the four of us here having this discussion, there has to be an alternative, and we have to make it. And we'll sell it for $1,500.
Right,
and we can take all this money.
It's a bargain at $1,500.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's still a ton of profit in there.
We'll sell it for $500. Millions. We all retire. We'll pass the show on to Uncle Rick.
We will. Oh man! So it goes from a nice place to brew happy hour to the Uncle Rick hour.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uncle
We're
Rick
off
ran-
on a beach somewhere, smoking cigars and
And honestly,
living it up.
I would pay money to see the Uncle Rick hour.
I would tune in every week for it.
Oh my god! I'd have to make my appearance and show out everybody how to roll a cigarette too the right way.
He could promote NordVPN as much as he wants on that.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Oh man!
Oh, my sides hurt. I haven't laughed this
wow.
hard in a long time.
Dude, wow. What a show. Wow, this
I
topic
know, right?
came out fantastic.
I don't think we actually came up.
Somehow we drummed up all this energy over the past week since we got introduced to the ZOM last week.
I know, right?
I don't think we actually came up with any other terms.
No,
we didn't.
I don't think the term came up at all. I think we had the introduction to what this is and what it does. I think we were just so stuck on that.
All right.
We weren't thinking this deep about it.
All right. Here's a technical term.
Okay.
You know, the valves that we have on our tanks. You know what kind of valves those are called?
I know they're connected with tri-clamps. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, they are connected with tri-clamp, but there's a certain kind of valve. There's 40.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm geeking out being a retired plumber of 20 years. Just
Do it,
knowing-
man.
Okay.
So You have a gate valve, which is those little motherfuckers there. Turn, and then once you get them closed,
Right.
and close, and then you try to open them and they break, and your water's stuck off, and you call the city. All right, and then you have what they call a ball valve, which is a typical
Right.
water valve.
And then this is what I was thinking you were going, because Sean
Yep.
said butterfly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No cheating, Sean. Cut him off the show.
Yeah, so honestly, I will say what I really like about the valves, and I always considered them kind of ball valves, but the valves that are on professional equipment, the fact that you have to pull it out to turn it so that you don't accidentally bump it and turn it.
Okay.
I really like that. And I think that should be implemented more on homebrew equipment because
there's a different kind. I have different kinds on my valves. I
okay.
don't pull it out. I have a lever you have to squeeze to release that lock, and then you close
Okay.
it. With it.
All right.
Good. I'm glad you spit beer all over your garage, Sean. I think we have more fun with Sean just watches this show than we
I know.
Oh man. So yeah. I will tell you after a crowler of question mark beer from
beer.
Route 66, I'm feeling no pain at the moment.
Oh, good. I'll go do a shot of whiskey and then talk to me later. Then we can talk.
Right? Yeah. I've got some cinnamon whiskey from Tennessee in the kitchen that is just awesome.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, it's so much better than Fireball. And
Okay, I was going with that one.
so much better than Fireball. It's not nearly as sweet, and it just is a good solid cinnamon whiskey. And they actually licensed Hellboy, the Hellboy comics. So it's called Hellboy whiskey, and it's on the label.
What's
This is
the price
talking
range
my
on that?
language right here.
Mm-hmm.
What's the price range on that per bottle for like a fifth?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
if we
got
ever-
Hellboy all over the label.
Yes, if we ever
Okay.
meet up in the Smoky Mountains, we should get some. And it's right outside of Dollywood.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's sold outside of there. I mean, this
I
sounds
don't
really
know what
good.
distribution they have.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because
I
they're
mean,
also
they had enough money to license Hellboy. I would think they would have enough money to market outside of Tennessee.
maybe.
But
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong.
No, yeah, Sean, you would drink Fireball, you pussy. I'm just reading all
Damn,
Sean's
Like a
comments.
champion.
Yeah, dude. What did he do? So,
I don't
okay. This is what I'm talking about. You see, this is Hellboy, Hellwater, cinnamon whiskey.
Okay, that's a very classy
Oh, I
looking
like
bottle.
that label.
Yeah, right?
I
It's
like-
awesome. And
Yeah.
it is so good. It's so much better than Fireball.
So is it very cinnamon forward? Is it spicy hot? Or is it like a hint of cinnamon? Or?
It's very cinnamon forward, but it's not super spicy. So you get the flavor of cinnamon without the a huge amount of spice to it.
So it's like eating a couple sticks of Big Red gum.
Kinda, yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I can get down on this.
Yeah.
Benny's Here I Come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or-
I was just thinking that myself. Yeah.
We'll just see where we can get it.
I know they have beermenus.com for beer. Do they got some kind of software like that for spirits?
I
Like a
would
whiskey
think so.
One would think, right?
Yeah.
You never know. You never know with things nowadays.
There's plenty of whiskey and bourbon aficionados out there. Not to mention, there's people that go to Kentucky for exactly that, and they have tours across multiple places for it. So,
Or like
So-
we have a guy that was on the show at one time that drove all the way to Kentucky to go buy a barrel.
oh yes,
Whole barrel age
that is
project,
true. Yes, that's commitment right there. I got to tell you.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I will tell you, we went to it's called XXX Distillery, and so this was we went we met my parents, my sister's family in Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains, and we rented a cabin. It was a nightmare. Like, okay, so we went to open up the oven, and the door came off of the oven, but the oven didn't open.
Oh
The-
no!
Yeah, we
Oh.
lost water at the cabin like twice because we were there for 3 days, and we lost cabin water at the cabin twice for a couple hours during that time, to the point where we were taking water out of the hot tub that was there to flush the toilets.
Oh,
At least you knew how to do
God's
that.
sakes.
I'll give you props on that. At least you knew how to do that.
The whole thing was a nightmare, but it's so memorable. And at one point, my brother-in-law, we went down, and we were going down to get water from the local gas station, just like, gallons of water, so we could drink, have water to drink. And we decided to stop by the distillery, and they're like, "Oh, we're doing a sampling." So we're like, "Sure, why not?" So we end up doing a sampling. We're there for like 2 hours. And we get back.
So much for a quick trip for water.
All right, yeah. So we're there for like 2 hours. We come back. My sister is pissed, but we had a great time.
Oh, I got a story with.
This is a great story.
Not as good
It
as
was
that
so
one, I
much
got a
fun.
story for you. Oh, I'll be right back. Going to see you guys.
Okay. But yeah, it was a great time.
When was this? I feel like you were in Tennessee just not all that long ago.
I was gonna say it's like 2 years ago, I think.
Has it been 2 years? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we came home with a whole bunch of really good moonshine, whiskey, and the best Bloody Mary mix I've ever had.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love that story. That was fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't get excited about Bloody Marys because it doesn't do anything for me. But yeah,
Yeah,
Even
no,
that-
I get
even-
that.
even
It's
that-
not for everyone, but
right. Yeah, but
Yeah,
that
and
aside, that whiskey story is awesome.
yeah, no, it's great. Yeah.
I can imagine how that conversation went. You're probably feeling no pain right when you get in, and
Oh,
the first
yeah.
thing you've been is like, "Where the fuck were you?"
Kind of, because they had 2 kids at the time. They have 3 now, but they had 2 kids.
Okay.
And apparently they were not being great, if you will.
Okay, so that compounded the situation.
So that
Okay.
compounded, yeah. So my sister had to deal with the 2 kids not, listening to her and everything while we're down there drinking moonshine and whiskey. And to be honest, perfectly honest, like usually Jesse, my brother-in-law, is, when we're down in Florida, he's the bad influence on me. When we were there, I was the bad influence.
Wow.
And it was, yeah.
It's his fault. That
Yeah. No, it was totally my
yeah,
fault.
just everybody, picture George in that light. The fingers are
Totally
being
my
pointed as George.
fault.
George is the bad influence. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait till George hangs out with me. I'll be the bad influence. I'll take responsibility for that.
Oh,
See, I believe that,
we are
Paulie.
gonna have some good times, the 3 of us, when George, we're less than 2 months away.
I have the plane
It's-
tickets. They're
It
ready
is
to go.
coming. It is
Yeah.
coming. And I'm so excited. It's
Yeah.
gonna be so great.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We might need a DD on the way home, or an
Fine.
Uber or something.
Trust me, they're plentiful around here. That can be
All
done.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, y'all. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Great. First of all, excellent webcast, everybody.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
so much for
It's been fun.
participating. Cheers to you, Sean. Thank you so much. Cheers to my good friend, actor Bill Bailey, for chiming in. Thank you so much for your support. Check out actor Bill Bailey on IMDb and all of his projects. There's a whole lot of them out there. We will do our webcast again next. No, I'm sorry. Well, we have to make the announcement here. We, for the first time since March of 2020, are taking a week off. There will not be a webcast for next week. It's been a long time coming. Paulie and I are going to be taking a beer sensory class next week,
which I expect you guys to report on the week after.
Oh, we will. I'm excited about taking the class, to be honest with you.
Jason, did you freeze up?
So we will see them. To catch us, check out our YouTube page for all of our past episodes. We have close to 100 episodes dating back to March of 2020. So check us out there. Don't forget to like our page. It really helps the webcast. We also have an audio podcast under the same name, A Nice Place to Brew, available on the podcasting platforms. Our website is www.aniceplacetobrew.com, and our social media links are Nice Place to Brew and A Nice Place to Brew. Where is Uncle Rick? We need him for this.
Uncle Rick, he's coming.
All right.
Happy Thursday, everybody, heading into the weekend. Hope everybody's having a great week. Have a great weekend. Hope you're enjoying a cold beverage, and we will see you next time.
I got this one, Jason.
Yes,
I got this one. It takes a lot of good Route 66 beer to make great beer.
And we'll see you on Saturday.
Cheers.
Cheers.